She came back to bury her aunt, and ended up unearthing the part of herself she had left behind. She arrived from New York with expensive suits, cold deadlines, and a heart on autopilot, and found a man in worn boots who still remembered who she was before she became just performance. He didn't invite her to talk. He invited her to dance. And that night, between grief and music, Harper made a choice no one expected, not even herself. Welcome to Lost Stories and Lyrics, the place where emotional stories will touch your heart. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from and smash that subscribe button. Harper Mitchell adjusted the collar of her white silk blouse for the third time that morning, studying her reflection in the executive restroom mirror at the agency. The cold, clinical lighting revealed dark circles no concealer could fully hide anymore. At 32, she ran the digital marketing division of Manhattan's third-largest advertising agency, managed a team of 17, and had generated over $20 million in revenue last quarter alone. Her Tribeca apartment had cost a small fortune, but the view of the Hudson made every obscene dollar of rent feel justified. She was living exactly the life she'd planned at 20, when she left Texas with an old suitcase and whispered promises carried off by the wind. Her routine never changed: alarm at 5:45 a.m., 30 minutes of spinning in the building gym, a quick shower, flawless makeup, a tailored suit laid out the night before. Breakfast happened on the move: a double espresso, no sugar, and a protein bar that tasted like sweetened cardboard. Meetings stacked back to back, tense faces around glass tables, charts projected onto walls, voices dissecting engagement metrics and conversion rates. Harper spoke the language of numbers fluently, translated vague client desires into seven-figure campaigns, turned ideas into profit. But lately, something had shifted. Between video calls, she found herself staring out the office window, watching the city below with a growing sense of detachment. People looked like hurried ants, all rushing somewhere important, no one ever really arriving. At night, when she finally collapsed into her Egyptian cotton sheets, the silence of the apartment pressed against her ears like deep water. She dated a few men, executives like her, attorneys, one plastic surgeon who talked too much about his investment portfolio. The conversations revolved around careers, resumes, new restaurants in Soho. No one asked about her dreams. She'd stopped mentioning them so long ago she wasn't sure she remembered what they were. The call came on a rainy Wednesday while Harper was reviewing a presentation for a cosmetics client. The name on her phone made her pause: Aunt Louisa. Strange. Her aunt never called during the workweek. Harper answered with the phone wedged between her shoulder and ear, fingers still hovering over her laptop. "Harper, sweetheart." The voice wasn't Aunt Louisa's. It was Uncle Frank, her husband, and the heaviness in his tone was instantly familiar. Her fingers froze. "Frank? What happened?" "It's Louisa, honey. She had a heart attack last night. She didn't make it." The world tilted. Harper felt the air rush out of her lungs as if she'd been punched in the stomach. Aunt Louisa, with her flour-dusted apron, her booming laugh, her endless stories about growing up in Texas. Aunt Louisa, the only person in Clearwater who hadn't judged Harper when she announced she was moving to New York. The one who hugged her tight and whispered, "Go show them who you are, girl." "The service is on Saturday," Frank continued, his voice breaking. It would mean a lot if you could come." Harper stared at her computer screen, at numbers and graphs that suddenly felt meaningless. "I'll be there," she promised. The flight to Dallas took 3 hours, followed by another 2 driving a rental car to Clearwater. Harper navigated the familiar roads with a tightness in her chest, watching the city slowly give way to open fields, wooden fences, rusted barns. She didn't even need the GPS. Her body remembered the way, every curve, every faded sign. She hadn't visited in nearly 3 years. There was always an excuse: a critical project, a business trip, an impossible deadline. When she finally parked in front of Aunt Louisa's house, now just Uncle Frank's, the guilt swallowed her whole. The white wooden house with its wide porch looked smaller than she remembered, more fragile. Lace curtains still fluttered in the living room window. Harper sat in the car for a few minutes, hands clenched around the steering wheel, trying to breathe. The Italian-cut black suit she'd chosen for the funeral stood out harshly among the simple dresses and button-down shirts worn by the people of Clearwater. Her stiletto heels sank into the damp grass at the cemetery. She felt like an imposter, a polished, expensive version of who she used to be. People greeted her politely, but there was distance in their eyes. She was the girl who left and never looked back, the one who chose skyscrapers over roots. During the visitation, Harper stood beside the closed casket, staring at Aunt Louisa's photo in its gold frame. The woman in the picture was smiling with her whole soul, eyes crinkled from laughter. Harper couldn't remember the last time she'd smiled like that. That was when he walked in. Caleb Harrison entered the church hall with his hat in his hand, broad shoulders filling out a light blue western shirt. His brown hair, longer than Harper remembered, fell across his forehead. His skin was sun-bronzed, fine lines at the corners of his eyes, the kind earned from laughter, from squinting into the Texas sun. When his eyes met Harper's across the room, something stirred in her chest, an old, stubborn memory. Caleb Harrison. The boy who'd kissed her for the first time behind the bleachers at a high school football game, when she was 15 and the whole world fit into that moment. The boy who talked about building a life together in Clearwater, dreamed of his own auto shop, kids running through the yard. She remembered the night she told him about New York, about her plans to leave. He hadn't tried to stop her. He'd only nodded slowly and said, "I always knew you were too big for this place." Now, 14 years later, he walked toward her with the same easy confidence she remembered. He stopped a step away, and Harper realized he seemed taller, or maybe she'd just forgotten. "Harper," he said, his voice low and warm like bourbon. "I'm so sorry about Louisa. She was an incredible woman." "Thank you, Caleb." Harper forced a professional smile, the one she used in boardrooms. "It was kind of you to come." He tilted his head, studying her face with an intensity that made her feel exposed. "She talked about you all the time, you know. Showed people your ad campaigns, proud like you'd won a Nobel Prize." The guilt tightened. Harper looked away. "Listen," Caleb said quietly. "There's a get-together at Riley's tonight. Live music, dancing, cheap beer. Louisa loved that place. She always said when her time came, she didn't want everyone dressed in black, crying in silence. She wanted us to celebrate." Harper blinked. "Are you inviting me to a bar? On the day of my aunt's funeral?" "I'm inviting you to honor her the way she would have wanted." His brown eyes held a mix of challenge and understanding. "But if you'd rather head back to your 5-star hotel and spend the night answering emails, I get it." The tease was gentle, but it landed. Harper opened her mouth to politely decline, to explain she had a flight Sunday and needed rest, that it wasn't appropriate, that. "What time?" The words escaped before she could stop them. Caleb's smile was slow and devastating. 9 o'clock. Wear whatever you want, but leave your phone in the car." He brushed her arm lightly, brief, respectful, then stepped away to greet someone else. Harper stood there, watching him go, her heart pounding in a way she hadn't felt in years. That night, Harper sat on the edge of her hotel bed, staring into the closet where her clothes hung neatly folded. The black suit, the silk blouse, the midi dress she'd brought for the memorial dinner. Neutral tones. Perfectly appropriate. Completely wrong for a country bar in small-town Texas. She almost backed out. Almost ordered room service and opened her laptop to review reports. Then she pictured Aunt Louisa's smile, the way she'd danced at her own birthday party 3 years earlier, spinning and laughing, her floral dress swirling around her legs. Harper took a deep breath, pulled on the only pair of jeans she'd packed, and a simple white top. She glanced at her expensive heels, hesitated, then slipped them on anyway. They'd have to do. Riley's sat on a corner of Main Street, a low wooden building with Christmas lights still blinking on the facade, even out of season. The parking lot was packed with pickup trucks and motorcycles. Music spilled from the open doors, guitar, banjo, a woman singing about dusty roads and lost love. Harper parked the rental sedan between 2 massive trucks and sat there for a moment, hands on the wheel. What the hell was she doing? She didn't belong in this world anymore. Hadn't for a long time. Then she thought of Caleb, the way he'd looked at her like he could still see the girl she used to be. She got out of the car before she could change her mind. Inside, Riley's was exactly as she remembered: worn wooden floors, round tables scattered without order, a long dark oak bar. The small stage at the back glowed under warm lights, a four-piece band playing with infectious energy. The dance floor was already full, couples spinning in practice steps, boots thudding against the floor, laughter blending with the music. Harper had barely stepped inside when Caleb appeared beside her, 2 beer bottles in hand. He offered her one. "I didn't think you'd come." "Neither did I." She took the bottle, the cold glass against her palm. Caleb nodded toward an empty table near the dance floor. They sat, and Harper watched the dancers, their bodies moving with an ease she'd completely forgotten. In New York, she went to sleek bars with electronic music, where everyone stood still, gently swaying, eyes glued to their phones. "You're different," Caleb said, leaning closer to be heard over the music. "Different how?" "More polished." He gestured vaguely toward her. "Like a high-end magazine. Beautiful, but untouchable." Harper wasn't sure whether that was a compliment or a criticism. "Probably both." "And you're exactly the same," she replied, and realized it was true. Caleb still had that calm steadiness, that solid presence that had once made her feel safe. "Some things don't need to change," he said, taking a sip of his beer. "Others change because we let them." The song ended and another began, faster this time. Caleb stood and held out his hand. "Dance with me." Harper looked at his hand, then the dance floor, then back at him. "Caleb, I haven't danced country in over a decade." "I'm going to step on your foot." "Then step on it." "I can handle it." His smile was gentle, daring. She hesitated one more second, then placed her hand in his and let him pull her onto the floor. And there, with her stilettos sinking between the worn floorboards, with a body stiff from years of corporate tension, Harper Mitchell began to come undone. The first few steps were a disaster. Harper stumbled twice, stepped on Caleb's foot 3 times, and her stilettos slid across the polished wooden floor like skates on ice. She laughed, a strange, rusty sound that escaped her throat without permission. Caleb only smiled and held her a little more firmly, guiding her through the basic steps as if they had all the time in the world. "Relax your shoulders," he instructed, his warm hand on her back. "You're as tense as if you're about to give a boardroom presentation." "I'm always tense," Harper admitted, and the honesty of that surprised her. The music went on, and slowly, her body began to remember. The steps came back, 1, 2, 3, turn, back. She used to dance like this at school dances, summer barbecues, wedding parties. She used to laugh without worrying if she was being too loud, without calculating every movement. After the 3rd song, Harper kicked off her heels and shoved them to the side of the dance floor. Caleb raised an eyebrow. "They cost $800, she explained, "but I value my ankles." "Wait here." Caleb disappeared for a few minutes and came back carrying a pair of worn leather boots. "Borrowed them from Sarah, the bartender." "You two are about the same size." Harper stared at the boots like they were artifacts from another century. They were old, scuffed, completely unfashionable. She slipped them on and immediately felt the difference: solid, stable, made for dancing on uneven wooden floors. Made for living, not for impressing. They went back onto the floor, and this time it was different. Harper moved with more confidence, letting Caleb guide her through more elaborate turns. He spun her under his arm, pulled her back in, and she laughed again, a real, deep laugh that came from somewhere forgotten inside her. "There," Caleb said, his eyes bright. "That's the Harper I knew." The words hit her like a punch. Because that Harper, the girl who danced barefoot at farm parties, who drove dusty pickups down dirt roads, who lay awake dreaming under the wide Texas sky, that Harper had been gone for a long time. Or at least, that's what she believed. The band took a break, and Harper stepped away, suddenly aware of how sweaty, how rumpled, how completely out of control she felt. She went to the bar and ordered water, avoiding her reflection in the mirror behind the bottles. Caleb joined her, leaning against the counter with that irritating ease of someone perfectly comfortable in his own skin. "Why did you really go to New York?" he asked bluntly. Harper took a long sip of water, buying time. "You know why. Opportunity, career, life." "No," Caleb interrupted gently. "I know what you said back then. I'm asking the truth." Harper closed her eyes. The truth was that she'd been afraid. Afraid of being stuck in Clearwater forever. Afraid of becoming just another person with dreams that dried up under the relentless Texas sun. Afraid that if she stayed, she'd marry young, have kids early, and wake up at 40 realizing she'd never figured out who she really was. "I needed to prove something," she said finally. "To myself. To everyone who thought I was just a small-town girl with no future." "And did you prove it?" She opened her eyes and looked at him. "Yes. I have the apartment, the title, the six-figure salary. I have everything I wanted." "Then why do you look so unhappy?" The question stole her breath. No one ever asked that. In New York, no one cared about happiness, only about success, productivity, upward charts on spreadsheets. "I'm not unhappy," she protested, but her voice was too weak to convince either of them. Caleb just watched her with those calm brown eyes, waiting. And then something broke. Maybe it was the beer, or the music, or the memory of Aunt Louisa. Maybe it was simply the exhaustion of carrying alone the weight of a life that looked impressive on the outside and hollow on the inside. "I wake up every morning at 5:45, Harper began, the words spilling out. "I work out, grab coffee, go to the office. I stay there until 9, 10 at night. I go home, eat something frozen, answer more emails, sleep. Wake up and do it again. The weekend is just more work in different clothes." She took a shaky breath. "And everyone thinks I'm successful. Everyone envies me. But I can't remember the last time I actually felt something. It's like I built this perfect life and forgot to put a real person inside it." Caleb said nothing for a long moment. Then slowly, he took her hand, just held it, his calloused fingers warm and solid around hers. "Louisa told me you never came back to dance at Riley's after you left," he said softly. "She said she was afraid you'd forgotten how to be happy." Tears burned behind Harper's eyes. She blinked hard, trying to hold them back. "Hey." Caleb gently lifted her chin so she had to look at him. "There's nothing wrong with admitting you're tired. That you might have built the wrong life. But I can't just throw everything away. I'm not saying you should throw anything away. I'm saying maybe, just maybe, you're allowed to want more than success. You're allowed to want joy." The band came back on stage and started a slow song. This time Caleb pulled Harper back onto the dance floor without asking. She let him, because she was tired of resisting, tired of controlling everything. They moved slowly, and Harper rested her head against his shoulder, breathing in the scent of leather, wood, and something indefinable that was simply Caleb. She closed her eyes, and for the first time in years, she didn't think about deadlines, metrics, or presentations. She thought only about how good it felt to be held, to be seen, to be reminded of who she'd been before she decided to become someone else. The weeks that followed were strange and turbulent. Harper returned to New York as planned, but something had shifted. She began questioning decisions that used to be automatic. She refused to work on a Sunday. She shut her laptop at 8 p.m. She started walking in the park instead of running on a treadmill. Her coworkers noticed. Her boss commented on her lack of commitment lately. Harper just smiled and didn't explain. She and Caleb started talking, long calls at night, messages during the day. He told her about his custom metal shop, the pieces he forged with his own hands, the satisfaction of turning raw steel into something useful and beautiful. Harper told him about campaigns she launched, numbers she hit, and realized she sounded hollow even to herself. "Have you ever thought about coming back?" Caleb asked one night, his voice rough through the phone. Back to Clearwater? Caleb, I have a career here. You have a job. That's not the same thing. Harper sat on the couch in her expensive apartment, staring out at the lights of Manhattan, and didn't know how to answer. The real test came on a rainy Tuesday in April. Harper was called into the CEO's office. He offered her a promotion, vice president, a substantial raise, a corner office with a view of Central Park. It was everything she'd worked toward for a decade. "I'll need an answer by Friday," he said, smiling as if he already knew what it would be. Harper left the meeting and went straight to the bathroom. She locked herself in a stall and pressed her forehead against the cool door. Her heart raced, her hands shook. A panic attack, she recognized the signs. She'd had several over the past few years. But this time, instead of breathing through it and going back to work, she pulled out her phone and called Caleb. "Are you going to take it?" he asked after she told him. "I should, right? It's what I always wanted." Silence on the other end. Then, "Harper, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "When was the last time you really wanted something? Not because it looked impressive or paid well, but because it made your heart race? Because it made you feel alive?" Harper closed her eyes, and the memory came back vivid and sharp, spinning on the dance floor at Riley's, laughing in borrowed boots, feeling completely undone and completely free. "I have to go," she whispered, and hung up. On Friday, Harper walked into the CEO's office with steady hands for the first time in weeks. He smiled when he saw her, already pulling the contract from his desk drawer. "I figured you'd come early to sign," he said confidently. "I came to decline," Harper replied, and the clarity in her own voice surprised her. His smile froze. "Decline? Harper, do you understand what you're turning down? This is an opportunity that someone else is going to love," she interrupted gently. "But it's not me. Not anymore." She handed him her resignation letter, 2 weeks' notice, professional to the end. He tried to argue, offered more money, better perks, flexible hours. Harper just shook her head, thanked him for the years of opportunity, and walked out. In the hallway, her footsteps sounded different. Lighter. She passed the conference rooms, the co-workers hunched over their laptops, the glass walls reflecting polished, empty versions of all of them. And for the first time in a decade, she didn't see herself in that reflection. The 2-week transition felt surreal. Harper trained her replacement, organized files, wrapped up loose ends. At night, she made calls, to real estate agents, moving companies, and to Caleb. Always to Caleb. "Are you sure?" he asked for the 10th time. "I'm terrified," Harper admitted. "But yes. I'm sure." She didn't go back to Clearwater right away. First, she had to figure out who she was now, not the New York executive, not the small-town girl she used to be, but someone in between. Someone new. Harper rented a small apartment in Austin, about 2 hours from Clearwater. She started working as a freelance consultant, choosing projects that actually mattered to her, family businesses, local brands, people with real stories to tell. The pay was a fraction of what she used to make. She cared far less than she'd expected. Slowly, the pieces fell into place. Harper started waking up without an alarm, following her body's natural rhythm. She spent entire afternoons reading on her porch, something she hadn't done since she was a teenager. She visited Clearwater on weekends, had dinner with Uncle Frank, danced at Riley's often enough that the bartenders learned her name. And Caleb. Caleb was always there, not pushing, not demanding, just present. They rebuilt something that wasn't exactly what they'd had before, but something better. More real. Built on who they actually were, not who they pretended to be. 3 months after leaving New York, Harper was in Caleb's workshop, watching him work. The place smelled like hot metal and oil, full of tools she couldn't name and pieces in different stages of creation. Caleb struck the glowing steel with his hammer, his arm muscles tightening under his shirt, completely absorbed. "Are you happy?" Harper asked suddenly. He paused and looked at her over his shoulder. "Right now, or in general?" "In general," Caleb set the hammer down, wiped his hands on a rag, and walked over to her. I wake up every day doing something I love, in a place I love, surrounded by people I care about. So yes, I'd say I'm happy. Harper bit her lip. You never regretted not leaving? Not trying something bigger? Bigger by whose standards? He tilted his head, studying her. Harper, I've made pieces that are in museums across Texas. I've taught half a dozen kids how to work with metal. I see my friends every week, I know my neighbors by name, I can walk to the grocery store. Isn't that big enough? The tears came then, inevitable. Not from sadness, but from relief. Relief at finally understanding she'd been chasing the wrong definition of success her whole life. Hey. Caleb pulled her into a tight hug, and Harper sank into his chest, letting the tears soak his shirt. You're okay. Everything's okay. I wasted so much time, she sobbed into his shoulder. You didn't waste anything. You had to leave to know you wanted to come back. He pulled away just enough to look her in the eyes. And now you're here. That's what matters. Harper nodded, wiping her face with the back of her hand. Caleb smiled and picked something up from the workbench, a small, polished horseshoe, perfectly symmetrical, with delicate details etched into the surface. I made this for you, he said, placing it in her hands. For luck. Or to remind you that sometimes you have to turn around to find the right path. Harper held the horseshoe, feeling its weight, the care in every line. It's perfect. So are you, Caleb said simply. Summer arrived hot and full. Harper settled into a routine that didn't feel like a routine, mornings working at the local cafe, afternoons split between trips to Clearwater and exploring Austin, nights sometimes quiet, sometimes at Riley's. On a Friday night in July, she was there again, wearing the boots Caleb had bought her, not borrowed this time, but truly hers. Light brown leather with decorative stitching, comfortable and sturdy. The music was loud, bodies spun across the floor, laughter filled the thick, living air. Caleb pulled her into a dance, and Harper went without hesitation. They moved with the easy synchronicity of people who'd danced together 1,000 times, even though it had really only been a few dozen since she came back. But it felt natural. Right. Like breathing. During a turn, Harper caught her reflection in the mirror behind the bar. The woman looking back had messy hair, makeup smudged with heat, a simple top clinging with sweat. She was laughing, undone, imperfect, alive. And she was the most beautiful version of herself Harper had seen in years. The music sped up, and Caleb spun her faster, pulling her back against his chest. Harper threw her head back and laughed, that deep, true laugh that had become familiar again, that no longer felt strange or rusty. You took a big gamble this time, Harper Mitchell, Caleb said near her ear, teasing her about the phrase she'd used that first night. I did, she agreed, looking into his eyes. And I won. The music kept playing, bodies kept moving, but Harper and Caleb stopped in the middle of the floor, just looking at each other. He touched her face gently, his thumb tracing her cheek. Welcome back, he whispered. And Harper realized she hadn't just come back to Clearwater, or even to Texas. She'd come back to herself, to the girl who used to daydream, who laughed easily, who found joy in simple things. She hadn't lost that girl in New York. She'd only buried her under layers of ambition, fear, and the desperate need to prove her worth. Now, with her feet on the worn wooden floor, the banjo in her ears, Caleb's strong hands holding hers, Harper finally understood. Her worth had never needed proving. It had always been there, waiting for her to stop running long enough to see it. The band played the last song of the night, slow, sweet, a little melancholy in the way that feels good. Caleb pulled Harper closer, and they swayed without hurry, without thinking about tomorrow. What are you going to do now? He asked. Harper thought about all the plans she used to make, 5-year goals, career tracks, financial projections. Now she just smiled. I'm going to dance, she said. And then we'll see. For the first time in her adult life, Harper didn't have a master plan. No presentation prepared, no measurable goal. Just the present moment, boots on her feet, music in her ears, the man in her arms, and a future completely uncertain that, surprisingly, no longer scared her. When they finally left Riley's at 2 in the morning, the Texas sky was full of stars, millions of them, scattered like diamonds on black velvet. Harper stopped in the parking lot, tilting her head back in wonder. "I forgot how beautiful the sky is here," she murmured. "It always was," Caleb said, but he was looking at her, not the stars. "You just had to slow down enough to see it again." Harper laced her fingers through his, squeezed, and smiled. Not the polished, professional smile she'd worn for a decade, but the real one, crooked, warm, full of joy. She had gambled everything, career, reputation, financial security, on a single night of dancing. And she discovered that the greatest win wasn't in impressive titles or six-figure salaries. It was here. In worn boots, country music, a star-filled sky, and the calloused hands of a blacksmith who had never stopped seeing her for who she truly was. Harper Mitchell was finally home. Enjoyed the video? Smash that like button and subscribe for more awesome stories. I'll be waiting for you in the next story.